Developing tonight, the Sebastian County Sheriff's Office has announced the name of the person who died in a shooting last week in Lavaca. They identified the victim as Brad Jones from Charleston. Shooting happened last Thursday night on Main Street. Viewers captured this video shortly after first responders got on the scene last Thursday. Investigators say they have conducted a number of interviews, but so far no arrests have been made. Jones's body has been sent to the state crime lab for an autopsy to determine an exact cause of death. Crawford County prosecutors tonight say they are pleased with the outcome of that double murder trial going on in Van Buren.
5 News reporter Bo Russell has been at the courthouse in Van Buren from start to finish. Joins us tonight with reaction from the family.
The trial of Cooper Wesley, who is now guilty of 2 counts of capital murder, has ended after 3 days, but the jury didn't even take 20 minutes to deliberate. During closing statements today, the defense argued that 27-year-old Cooper Wesley was under the influence of drugs at the time of the 2023 murders and wasn't in his right mind. However, Crawford County prosecutors pointed out that in Arkansas, voluntary intoxication is not a defense under the law. Almost immediately after being sent to deliberation, jurors returned to the courtroom with a verdict.
Was it 17 minutes? 17, 18 minutes. We're very pleased. We're pleased with the jury. We think that they were listening, paid attention, understood the evidence, and quickly arrived at a verdict that I think the family is pleased with, and definitely this office is pleased with, and law enforcement's pleased with.
Chelsea Wallace is victim Terry Brissell's daughter, but she's also the defendant's sister. She says she is making peace with the verdict.
I love him, but I will always hate him. I'm pleased with the verdict, but it still don't bring my dad back.
Prosecutors did not ask for the death penalty in this case because they say they did not want to drag it out with the possibility of years of appeals.
We wanted this family to have closure. We believe there is at least a little sense of closure at this point. And immediately, once the jury found guilty on 2 counts of capital murder, it goes directly to sentencing, and he was sentenced by Judge McCune to 2 consecutive life sentences.
Because Wesley was charged with capital murder, those 2 life sentences that attorneys talked about do not come with the possibility of parole. In Van Buren, covering news where you live, I'm Bo Russell, 5 News.
All right, Bo, thanks. Tonight we are hearing more about a man who was shot in Benton County last week. 41-year-old Kevin Nicholas survived by his 8-year-old son. 5 News reporter Claire Everbach talked to loved ones today and shares more now on how the community is stepping up to help his family.
Kevin Nichol was a longtime wrestler who coached at this gym in Rogers, Ozark Mountain Wrestling. Today, I spoke with several loved ones who shared more about Kevin's life and legacy.
Better known as Ivan Warsaw in the wrestling world, Kevin was a coach, mentor, father, son, and brother. Students say they have fond memories of road trips and competitions, and loved ones say Kevin was selfless and full of compassion. Devin Lyles, a close friend of Kevin's, started a GoFundMe to help cover funeral and memorial expenses, and most importantly, to provide support for Kevin's 8-year-old son, Zach.
There's no replacing your father, especially one that cared about you as much as he did. So he's got a long road ahead of him, and we want to be there for him, but we also want to resource the family and him best as we possibly can for the future.
A memorial service is planned for this Friday, July 18th at New Hope Assembly of God in Rogers. In Rogers, covering news where you live, Claire Everbach, 5 News.
Thanks, Claire. Well, search and recovery efforts continue tonight in Texas, but a flood watch that's in effect continues to complicate matters. The death toll from the catastrophic flash flooding that happened over the Independence Day weekend now stands at 139. More than 160 people are still missing. At a meeting today, the Kerr County Sheriff said the efforts will continue for as long as needed until everyone is accounted for.
Take, who knows, I think we'll still go strong for another month or 2, up to maybe 6 months, winding down.
Volunteers from across the country are helping with the search and recovery mission along the Guadalupe River. Among the rescue teams, members of the Arkansas National Guard. They shared this photo with Governor Greg Abbott, who was thanking them for their service in the state over the past week. They've brought 4 Black Hawk helicopters and 22 soldiers. They'll be in Texas until later this week.
Group of volunteers with Sheepdog Impact Assistance also helping out. 95 volunteers left from Rogers yesterday with 4 vehicles and 3 trailers full of of supplies, including water, dog food, canned goods, and outdoor items.
Well, 5 years after the pandemic fueled a frenzied home buying boom, the market mood has shifted. Many Americans are now thinking twice about making a move.
Now, experts say high interest rates and limited inventory are cooling the market. Karen Kafa is in Washington now with what buyers and sellers need to know right now.
Interest rates have pushed mortgage rates higher while home prices continue to climb in many parts of the country, leaving the housing market in a sticky situation.
The housing market's in a really unusual place right now. It's a strange combination of record high home prices and then very low home sales. And all of that's a hangover from the pandemic.
Bankrate housing market analyst Jeff Ostrowski says their research indicates more homeowners are hesitant to make a move.
The idea being they don't want to sell at a mortgage rate above 6% because that means they're going to have to go out and finance their next place at more than 6%.
Zillow senior economist Orphe Divingi says overall economic uncertainty is rattling the market too.
Remember, when people are uncertain about the future, their future income prospects, well, they tend to sit on their wallets.
And affordability is improving according to Zillow's data, but remains stretched.
The increase in prices, the increase in mortgage rates in the past few years really means that the typical buyer today really needs a lot more to be able to get into the house.
That means first-time buyers may have to make some trade-offs.
Maybe it's a townhouse, maybe it's a fixer-upper, maybe it's a place in a neighborhood that's not your first choice. But definitely this housing market has forced first-time buyers to make compromises.
And while potential home buyers may be nostalgic for the low mortgage rates of the pandemic era, Ostrowski says they're unlikely to return anytime soon.
It was Karen Kafer reporting. The U.S. Supreme Court issuing a ruling today that allows the president to move forward with part of his plan to dismantle the Department of Education. 6-3 ruling, justices allowed the White House to move forward with a plan to lay off nearly 1,400 employees. The ruling overturns a lower court injunction that had placed a pause on those firings.